Hi, I'm Chelsea. Welcome to my channel. Have you ever wanted to make a scarf but didn't really have the tools to do it? So today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful scarf like this. This one is my Christmas scarf for the holidays, and all you need to make it is your fingers, and I'll show you how. So really easy, I'm just going to narrow down supplies. I picked out my 3 different color yarns, and I decided that I'm going to double the red. So I want this scarf to be more red, so I'm going to double the red. So the easiest thing, start off with some sharp scissors. Pretty nice. Dull scissors it's more likely to, when you cut the thread and cut the yarn, it's more likely to fringe. So sharper scissors are better. And I'll explain the pencil later. It's a little trick I like. But 3 yarns, and I'm going to double the red. So I cut off this separate entire string of red. So I have 2 reds. This one I'm leaving attached to my base of my yarn. Each one I do want to leave attached to the base. I don't want to cut it if I don't have to. Now I'm going to start the actual making of the scarf. So I'm not going to cut any of the other pieces from my base. So I already said that I cut a separate piece of red, and I'm actually going to move that one down this way below this colorful beauty, so I don't confuse this red with this red. So I'm going to start taking my edges and putting them together in my hand. The end of each one. So my unattached red, my colorful feathery one, my black and silver, and then my attached red. And I'm going to drape them probably about between my thumb and my pointer finger, just about an inch left, so that they're pretty even. And I want to leave an inch or so because this is going to be the end of the scarf. You can either tie a knot later and just cut it. Personally, it's more likely to get loose that way, so I always have a little fringe at the end and leave it. So then I'm going to put that all together. And the best thing is to make sure that the yarns don't get clumped or get tangled in the process, so just trying to leave them spaced out as much as possible. But the first step to doing it, so I have my little inch that I left between my thumb and my pointer, and then I'm going to take the yarn and I'm going to wrap it under my pointer, over my middle finger, under my ring finger, and over my pinky. And I'll just repeat that one more time. I'm going to repeat the first few steps just because it's the whole process. So under pointer, over ring, so under middle, under ring. So, and over the pinky, there you go. And then I'm going to wrap it around the pinky, go over the ring finger, under the middle, and over my pointer finger. So it's a 1 on each one. Then I'm going to go back under the pointer, so over the middle, under the ring, and over the pinky, and that's where it stops, just like that. And then I take this first loop and I put over the second loop. The hardest one is the pinky because you have that loose end. So the second loop, you want it to stay on your finger, and the first one you pull it over. So it's like it is basically wrapped around your finger. And you're going to do that for each one. So for those 2. And then these ones you still have the 1 layer for. So now you still have 1 layer for each one. and your edge is on your pinky. So now you're going to take it and you're going to wrap it over your pinky and under your ring, over your middle, under your pointer, and then back around for each one. So now each one has 2. And you're going to do the same process where you pull the first one over the second. Now you have to do it for each finger. So, and you get used to it. Your knuckles kind of hurt a little bit at first, but it's a lot harder in the beginning because your thread is still very tight. You want it to be tight at first because that's basically you forming the base of your scarf. Once your scarf is mostly together, you're at the base, you can make it a little looser and it actually will fluff the scarf out. But I can shake my hand and it doesn't go anywhere, which is kind of nice. And I can loosen it up a little bit. So, but it's basically forming at the bottom of my fingers. So, and this is the original that was tied like between my thumb and pointer. You could just let it hang throughout the whole process. And don't let this get out of your way. So same thing, you're going to just keep repeating that process, wrapping it around and pulling the first one. It's always the hardest at the pinky. Erg. Gerg. Start making these a little looser. So, and if you accidentally, like I kind of just did, I accidentally pulled the second one too. Just kind of push it back on top of your finger, and the layers kind of tend to stick where they need to stick. So, but just pull it. If your fingers turn purple, you know, just get it looser. So, and I'll start making it a little looser for myself too, now that my scarf is actually starting to form at the base. So, give myself a little more room. Kind of fluff it out. And it's okay, you can pull at your yarn, but your base is basically forming already. So, it's going to form a little puff. And you're just going to keep doing the same process. So, one more time. Over the pinky, over each finger, and then, so each one has 2, and I loosened it up a little, so put it over each one, and don't worry about pulling at the yarn, because you kind of want it to get fluffy, and you kind of want the yarn to blend. But what's cool about this is that there's no other tools required. So, and then after each round, you can kind of tug at the yarn a little bit. I chose purposely to do a really thick scarf this time, a really thicker yarn. So for me, it's a lot harder to maneuver. If you're not used to it for your fingers, you might want to get a thinner yarn. Okay. So, as you can tell, it's already getting a lot longer, even just after a few pieces. So, that's basically the end of the scarf. And I still have my piece, but if you notice, my unattached red base is becoming pretty short. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you my trick with my pencil. So, I'm going to cut a new piece of red. So I'm going to take my pencil, I'm going to put each one on the pencil, just like this. Got a little stuck there. Pull it through. Make sure each one is under the pencil. And the pinky last. So there it is. I still have my piece attached. Don't want to pull it too tight, but that's the easiest way to store it, is on the pencil. Easy way to take a break. I'm going to lay it down, grab a drink of soda. Alright, so I have it attached to my pencil, ready to save, and this was my unattached red piece, and it got pretty short. So what I'm going to have to do to my attached red piece, which is still attached, get all the other thread out of the way. So I'm going to cut it, maybe a little longer, give myself some space. I'm going to cut it, set that over there so it doesn't get tangled. Pull out my big red thing. My big red thing. And I'm just going to get a bunch more yarn. Long piece. So, and that short piece of red, make sure that these aren't tangled. But that short piece of red, all I'm going to do is attach this longer piece to it and just tie a knot. The frizzies is perfectly okay. And just double knot it. As long as the frizzies don't get in my way. Not in my way. So, there it is. Tight knot. So, now I have a really long piece of thread that I can use. And I'm going to cut the end. So, and then I'm going to get even more. So, just let that out a little bit. So, but I'm going to leave it attached. I'm not going to cut it. But this one I'm going to tie to the other red that I had to cut in order to make more room for the other one. Same thing. Keep it an easy. Tying a knot. This one's not as frizzy because I gave myself a little more room. So, and you don't even have to worry about cutting it. It's all going to blend into the scarf anyway. So, now I'm going to take the time now and make sure each piece is individually separated and it's not all going to be a tangled mess when I get started. So, always take the time to make sure it's neat because you don't want to have to deal with any knots later. Alright, time to get restarted again now that I have all my pieces attached. I was doing 2 reds, remember, that's why I had to cut the other piece. So now I have those, and don't worry about the knots, it'll all blend in. So now to get the tricky part and put this back on my fingers. So bad at this part. So basically, you slip this on. It's like putting on tight rings. So, here we go. Get that one off. Middle finger. And I want to do it, I need to make sure that it's facing in this direction because you want your thing at the end. So, there you go. So, middle finger's off. So, pointer finger. So I'm going to be this way. There we go. So I got each one on, not too bad. And that was the knot from before. So, looking pretty good so far. Actually kind of Christmassy and really pretty for the holidays. Especially that glare, looks like I'm wearing rings. So, let's continue. So, start again, pinky, and back over. Trying to keep it looser this time so it's not as tight for my fingers. The scarf's pretty much going to be pretty tight, so I don't have to worry about that right now. Whoops. There you go. Alright, fluffy, fluffy, fluffy. Oh, and they got detached. There we go. There we go, that's the right one. And if every time you want it to be tight, all you have to do is kind of pull on the tail of the scarf, and it just tightens all that up, and you can loosen your fingers again. So, but again, if you, like you just saw, I accidentally pulled the second one instead of the first one, and you can immediately tell because it feels really loose. So now it's a little tighter, and I can pull it tighter. So I pretty much got to the end of my scarf, and it's a pretty good length, so pretty long. Thank you. But I'm just about to run out of the black yarn. This is all I have left, so I need to save a little bit for when I cut the pieces and make the fringes for the end. So I'm going to finish off my scarf, and this is probably the hardest part to finish it off, but the first thing you basically do is you disconnect all your fingers. Hope it doesn't fall apart. No. So, and you still have those loops. And if you pull this through just slightly, and you're going to want to pull all your pieces through and tie a knot for where you had the pinky. Just slip it through. So, I got all my pieces through. So once I do that, then I'm going to cut it for safety measure, because that's about the length I'm going to want to cut it through. All the black. Cut off each of the pieces. So now it's all separated. And I could pull out the leftover yarn that I had. So, still a lot of yarn left actually. And I pulled it through the pinky. And I'm going to pull it through for each of these. And if I pull it all the way through the pinky, it actually stops. And it actually forms kind of like its own little knot. Then I'm going to do it with the other finger holes too. I'm going to actually loop it around, pull it through this one, as long as it doesn't get caught. But the best thing to do is you just want to find ways to make it knots so that it does not unravel. So, and then here's the last finger mark that I had, the finger hole. I'm going to put it through there. There we go. So, and there's a little bit of thread left, but that'll actually help me. I guess I could just tuck that under. Or even if something comes loose, you can even use it to tie a knot. Kind of helps you tie a knot. Whatever you need to do. But basically you want to be able to finish it off. And then the other thing you would do is you split the yarn that you have. So I have 4 pieces. I'm just going to take the 2 reds and the other one and tighten it, and I'm going to just tie a knot with these pieces and tighten it, and then double knot it, of course, so it doesn't fall out. Double knot it. So, and basically that's how you finish it off. It's all tied in a knot, and the knot stays under, and it's pretty secure in that sense. And then I'm going to leave a little bit hanging. I'll probably compare it to my other end, the 1 inch that I left in between my thumb and pointer in the beginning. So, and then I'm going to take my scissors and just cut it at that length. And so that's the leftover yarn. I'll use that black to make fringes. So that makes it about even. And then I'm going to add some designing tips to that. So my scarf is pretty much done. Now all I have to do is add the fringes at the end. So I tied my knots securely on both ends. So I went back to the top after I took my fingers off. I made the knots. And then the first one that I made, where it was between my thumb and pointer finger when I first started, I just took the 2 strands, again, separated the strands and tied another knot. So now each side is secure. Now I have these really pretty fringes at the end, so I'm going to fill all the fringes up. So I'm going to add a lot more fringes. So I'm going to take my old yarn and I'm going to cut maybe a little longer. I have to leave room to tie a knot. So this is all the black I have left, so I'm pretty much going to cut it in half, 1 for each side. There you go. That's what you get for not having that sharp of scissors. So, and then I'm going to basically take some loose strands. I'm going to pull my yarn through. Just like that. And tie it. Get it close to the edge as you can. So, there you go. You could double knot that too, if I didn't leave myself a little room. There you go. And it just kind of blends into the scarf, but it adds an extra fringe. And I'll do that to the other piece too. On the other side, I wanted at least 1 black piece for each side. So again, get some loose thread from your fingers. It's a nice thing your fingers leave a little bit of some holes while you're knitting. Oops. There we go. And I'm doing it this way for the black because that's all the black I had left, but I'll show you an easier way to add strands. There it is. And this one's a little long, so I'm going to just trim it at the end. There we go. So that adds an extra pretty strand. Then I'm going to take I don't like to waste yarn, so I'm just pretty much going through and using my extra strands first from when I cut it. So, making a little loose. Here's a little hole right here. So, I'm actually going to take this strand. I like these ones the best for the ends because they're so fringy and pretty. I'm going to just pull it halfway. And it's just about long enough. So, and I'm just going to tie a knot like this. Easy. And now it's almost the full length. So then you just get 2 fringes that way. It's a lot faster, makes it a lot prettier. And I'm going to do the same thing with the red. Little red piece. Find a little hole on this side. I like to space it out a little bit. So, and for me it's okay if the reds, some of the reds actually start to separate, but that's okay because I think it actually for the fringy part, it actually adds more. It won't separate in your scarf because it's already done. So I might actually even separate them a little bit myself. So, and here's another red piece, so I'll add it to this side. So you can even add a little higher. Here's a leftover finger mark. So that one I'm just not going to double knot. And then you could just tuck it in a little bit too. And the nice thing about this is if you ever have, here's a little strand that's coming loose from when I had to tie the knot for the double reds earlier. All you do is you have anything loose coming through, you just tuck it into the scarf on the inside of the scarf. Find a hole kind of with your finger and tuck it in so that it doesn't stick out. And you could do that with, there's always going to be some loose pieces, but this scarf actually came out really thick. You can actually see it almost looks like it was knit the way that it came out with the fingers. You could kind of like open it, so it came out really well. But I'm going to add a little bit more fringes to the end and then show you the final product. So here I have my finished product, my final Christmas scarf with a pretty red yarn that I used and the black and silver, so pretty festive for the holidays. And I finished it off by adding all the fringes to the end, so it makes it look fuller and more festive. So let's see, let's put on my scarf. So, and it's a pretty good length too. I wouldn't double wrap this scarf. I would just, it's a little thick, so I would just wear it like this, simple layer. So, and it's long enough. I probably wouldn't wear it any shorter. And the other way, my friend showed me this way too. So, I actually liked wearing it like this too. So, the knot, you can double loop it, kind of put it through just like this. It's also a style. Or to wear it from behind, if you want to tuck that behind you. So, you could do that too. But in any case, I have my Christmas scarf. This one will probably be a gift for Christmas. They make great gifts for everybody. So hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot. And check out my other videos. And if you really like it, subscribe. Thanks.